Hey, good morning. How are you guys? Hope you're doing fantastic this morning. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Concrete trucks are on site, the pump truck's on site, and we're getting ready to go over and kind of show you kind of what's getting ready to start happening here. This is the beginning of your new home. I just chatted with the concrete guys and it was amazing, the attitude. These guys really love their jobs. So we got our cement mixers, right? And you'll see there's probably on this job site today, there's gonna be, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these 11-yard trucks, okay, as they go, and they keep moving them in and out, okay? So you can see you got a couple lined up now. They're getting ready to put it right in that hopper over there. We're gonna go see the hopper in just a minute, okay? So they're kind of getting their machinery, getting the pump truck all set up. See, 500 mud. That's our nickname in the industry for concrete, right? I'm gonna start pouring some mud today. So let's go take a look and kind of show you what's getting ready to happen over here with the pump truck, okay? These guys are preparing the hopper. The concrete's gonna be coming out of those trucks, down their chutes into that hopper right there, the back of the truck. And then the gentleman that drives the truck, also he has the controller, and we'll see him in just a minute. He's gonna control the concrete coming out of that pipe. And then the concrete guys are, of course, pouring your foundation. So we're gonna go take a look at that and kind of show you what's happening here. So we'll see everything, okay? All right, so we get up next to the house. The guys got all their tools, their trowels, everything laid out. What they're doing over there right now, you probably can't see it too well in the video, but they're stringing, they're putting markers throughout the foundation so that they make sure the height's good. The thickness is good, all that sort of thing. Now, concrete, like water, always finds its own level as they trowel it down and do all the different things. It gets to the top of the form boards and all. But they're just kind of putting some markers in there just to make sure as they move along through the field of the concrete, things are appropriate, the thickness is appropriate, so on and so forth. So that's kind of, they're just kind of preparing the job site, you know? So you got lots of things getting ready to go on here, and we'll just keep filming here for a little bit. So the guys are getting the pump truck all set up, they're starting to put some mud in that hopper back there, and we'll go check that out here in just a second. There's a third truck rolling in, so there's gonna be a lot. That's right now, you got 33 yards of concrete on site. There'll probably be 1 or 2 more after that. Right now, you're gonna see the very first concrete coming out of that truck into that pump truck. This is the very first concrete for your new home right there. See, he's getting his pump primed. He's the gentleman, he's the operator of the truck. He's gonna be using that control box to control the concrete that comes up out of that pipe, and it's for the guys on the job site. But that's the very first concrete of your new home right there. All right. So these guys are getting ready to build you a beautiful new home. Now, remember that concrete that we just saw go into the hopper for the very first time? That concrete's getting ready to come out of that tube right there. The very first part of your house is getting ready to be poured right there. These guys are doing a great job. There he goes. This is the very first. Oh, I think this is the most exciting part of the whole job right here. I love this stuff. There it is. That's the first concrete going down into your footer. Nice, right? Remember that gentleman with the control box? He's controlling how much concrete comes out of the pipe, and he helps move the pipe too. He can control where that pipe goes. So these guys, because that's heavy work right there, so he helps control that so that when they're pouring it, it's a lot easier for those guys pouring that footer. And they'll start working the entire footer around the house first, and then they'll start pouring the field. So you'll have a super strong house. Remember, all that rebar that's down in there is now going to be in the middle of that concrete that he's pouring there. And these guys are just keeping it up. They'll start working it. They'll aerate it. They'll do all kind of cool stuff. There's a whole process, and that process, as they start troweling, will go on through the entire concrete while they're doing the house. So we'll see more of that here in a minute. So now I'm standing inside of your house. Again, he's got the control box. He's controlling all that concrete that's coming up out of that pipe. All right, all the way down to where these guys are at. He controls the flow, the amount of flow, and of course, helping keep that thing so the gentleman doesn't hurt himself with that hose right there, because that is not a light job. These are some of the hardest working guys on a job site right here. The concrete guys and the framers and the roofers. Those three guys. But you can see how it's filling in. You can see how it's filling in around the rebar and all. Okay? And then they start working it. They have different... He's backfilling it to make sure it's nice over the top of that form board. So now your footer is that thick. So what do we say, about 14, 16 inches, I think, the other day. So they'll do that, and then they start back doing, doing the field, if you will. And they'll start at the back of the house generally and work their way forward. So they're filling it in. They'll start troweling it. See, he's already starting to trowel it over there. They'll start tamping it down. They also have a little mixer, if you will. They'll stick that in there sometimes to make sure there's no air, because what they want is all the water to rise to the top, all the cream to rise to the top, so that sets that concrete hard. Okay. So now you can see it coming towards us again, doing the footers. We're about ready to get splattered here. They'll come back and he'll come back and he'll put a couple different layers in there. Because they wanted to settle down, of course. There you can see it all filling in. Now you know where, if you look at any house you've ever lived in, if you pull the dirt back away from the base of the house, you see that little bit of over concrete? That's what that is right there. It's just where it comes out from underneath the form boards. Just makes things thicker, right? And those guys over there are already starting to trowel the top of the form boards. And again, we're right here working in your garage. So it's an entire, see how what he's doing, he's hammering it. That helps get the air out, helps settle down the concrete inside those form boards. And now you get a really good view of what he's doing. You can see it as he hits it, you can see the concrete settling down. It just makes it fill in all the gaps and, makes it nice and solid. And then, of course, they come through and trowel it. They'll do the same procedure on the entire footer, and then as they pour the actual foundation itself of the field, they'll do a lot of the same procedures and then start troweling it, multiple troweling operations as well. Hopefully you can hear me over this pump truck we're standing right next to here. I'm trying to talk loud. See, Maury's backfilling it. There's a shower space. So they pour that all at the same time as they do the footer. They'll do the master of that whole area over there here shortly. They work around the house. He's keeping dirt. Part of what he's doing is keeping dirt up against those form boards, keeps that concrete where it belongs. It doesn't settle out too much because, again, there's no purpose of having concrete this way, but to push the dirt up on it there just to keep it in, generally in that area. Okay. And you notice that board right there. You see that board that's sitting right over the top of your where he's pouring? That's actually, they do that because your sliding glass doors are going to sit down on that concrete pad. So basically what they're doing is creating a recess right there by not allowing the concrete to come all the way up to where, there we go. So like I was telling you the other day, I think in my other video, when they do the concrete pour for the foundation, it's called a structural pour, okay? Also, they're going to be pouring the back patio, and of course they'll pour the garage as well. That's part of your structural pour. Anything outside of that, walkways, driveways, etc., it's called a free pour, and they'll do those somewhere later down the line of construction of the house, so that sort of thing. But all this is structural pour, so that's why they do everything all at one time. So he's getting it right up there, and again, that leaves a little recess for your sliding glass door. Okay. There you go. This is the morning view. I'm standing inside your lanai right now, looking at the sun rising. Very cool. Nice view of the lake and all. So this is what your backyard's going to look like, or your view's going to look like in the morning. So anyway, they're getting ready to come around inside the other side of the house now. We've got the got the master area, got the bathroom and all over there, so they'll be pouring that here shortly as they work their way around the house. Let me jump out of here so they don't want to ever be in their way. And, a little social distancing. I don't want to be in their way for that either. Okay. There's a good view of the whole pump truck. And again, Eddie over there, I was just talking to the pump operator. He's doing a pretty good job for these guys. That guy's not hardly working at all. I won't say he's not working. He's definitely working, but he's a pretty good operator. Now that we're back here, you can see that little marker right there. Remember I told you they were stringing this to make sure that they knew where the height of the concrete was early on. That's what they're pounding in. Those are actually metal. And they pound them in every so often throughout the field of the foundation so that they know where that, you know, if there's a low spot, high spot, they can tell real quick, okay? So that your foundation is nice and even. So you can see them over here starting, you know, they're starting to trowel it and everything. And they'll do this a few times, and of course the field as well. So they're doing, there's a bearing wall obviously going right there. That's why that footer's on the inside of the house. Like we talked about the other day, anywhere a wall is a bearing wall that takes weight, roof structure, weight, they have to put a footer, okay? There's your AC chase getting ready to be covered up. Goes from your air handler, of course, to the outside compressor unit. So all that's under slab. You got your, right over here, you got your floor outlet. Let me come over here, hang on a minute, it'll be bouncing through the dirt. I'll be bouncing through the dirt here. Let me show you something real quick. There's your floor outlet, right? And that's gonna be under the foundation as well. They got that put in. And now you can really see, that little blue marker, that one that is tapped in when they're siting this, putting the strings on the property. And you got them all throughout so they can make sure they have the right height then. Okay. Now you kind of see a finished product of the, now this is of course the outside, the exterior wall of the house right here. This is your garage space, but you kind of see that finished product right there. Now they'll go through, they got pull the formwords, they'll trowel this some more and everything. But it's a multi-step process, of course, like I was saying earlier. But you kind of see the finished product there now, you know, and they're still working in there, and also it's coming. So, and what we're doing back here now is, of course, we're putting concrete in the hopper, but our job back here is to make sure that hopper stays full. Now he's keeping an eye on the guy on the pump truck, right? Eddie up there, who's controlling that boom and getting the concrete to those guys. But us back here, we got to make sure this hopper stays full enough so that he can pump it out there. Okay? You don't want it to go dry. Kind of cool to watch this, right? It's from here out there, it becomes part of your house. Another truck just rolled up. Let me get out of their way. What is that, like the 5th truck? Well, you got 11 cubic yards in each of these trucks. So I think we're up to about 55 cubic yards now. He's gonna back in, and again, they'll start rotating out. There we go, we're starting to pour the field now. Of course, that's the front part of your house. They lob it in there, of course, and then it's a procedure. They'll start moving around, make sure it's nice and even. You'll see them tamping it down. You'll see them starting to trowel it. And what they're trying to do is get the cream, they call it cream, to rise to the top, because there's water content in this mix. The mix is done at the plant where they load the trucks. There's so much aggregate, there's so much concrete, there's so much water. There's also additives they put in for curing times, depending on the weather and what they anticipate the job site, you know, needs are that day. Okay. So it's a multi-step process, and so we'll see them starting to do different things here, different troweling techniques, things of that nature too, okay? All right, so they've got the field in this area poured. They've got it kind of tamped down, leveled out a little bit. Now this is the first trowel. Now do you see what's happening? Because they're making it so it's generally even behind that trowel. And so they're starting to smooth it down, but you see how smooth it gets, and it looks like it's a little wetter than the other. It's because that water starts rising to the top. That's what they're trying to get to happen, okay? And this is the first troweling exercise. They'll come back and do, of course, their big long trowels and smooth it. And they'll smooth it multiple times as the water starts rising up out of the concrete. Here's the second wave of troweling. You see what he's doing there? Now he's got that long trowel, so we don't have to walk on the concrete, of course. So they're starting to let that water rise to the top, and they take it in stages. Had the rough pour, then you had they had the long, you know, 8-foot, 10-foot, 2x4 metal trowel, if you will. Now he's starting to do the hand trowel. Of course, they'll trowel around the edges by hand, and they'll do this. Woo, sorry about that. We're here in the dirt piles. They'll do this a couple of times. Again, all that's doing is settling the concrete down. Every time they trowel, every time they do anything to it, it's to settle the concrete down, the actual solids, so that the water rises again to the top. Again, that's really the basic thing you're trying to do with all of this, is to get it all settled down, smooth, let the water rise to the top. Okay? And this will sit for a couple of days as it dries and cures. And then the framing package, of course, will be delivered to the site. The next time we come out, they'll be framing this thing. So I'm gonna come back hopefully later today and see the entire finish. This will be finished here in a few hours. But I have to go run and do some other errands today. Sometimes I try to stay for the entire pour, but I'm not gonna be able to do that today. But this is, you know, pretty much, other than it's more troweling, this is kind of a finished product right here. And then they grind it down. Once it sets a little bit today, this afternoon they'll come back and actually put a grinder on it. And they'll also cut, today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, they'll cut expansion joints into it as well. It might happen today, depending on the curing process and, you know, what they additives and stuff, how quickly they know they can do it. Okay, so now you're kind of seeing the whole process. You're seeing the pour, this moving it around, the troweling, kind of all of it happens in stages, and it just continues to move like that through the whole job. Okay. You see he's hand troweling the edges. And see him patting it down, and because of that, every time you hit that, every time you move it, just gets that moisture up, and he can fill it in. If he's got a little low spot, he can just grab some concrete from inside the shower space there and everything. And they'll do that through the entire job. So this is pretty much all of the procedures all at one time that you're watching. So next time I come out here, this is going to be a complete foundation. All right, very cool. We'll take one more little walk around the house. I've got a skedaddle. Any questions or comments? I want you guys to have a fantastic day. Give me a call. Questions, like I said, questions, comments, give me a call. This is so cool, guys. I mean, this is my favorite part of the entire job, is what you're seeing right here. These guys are so hard working, and if this isn't done right, the rest of the house has to be, you know, adjusted, I'll say. But no, I mean, we don't ever have issues like that, but if this foundation isn't poured right, you know, again, like anything else, prep work is the key to a successful mission, right? But there's your sun coming up. Very nice, look at that. Little dappled light coming through there. Be nice sitting on the back patio there having a little coffee in the morning. All right, I want you guys to have a fantastic day. We do appreciate you. Call me if you need me, and I'm always here, and Sharon as well, of course. Hey gang, I went out and finished all my other errands today, and now we come back and here's the rest of your concrete fully poured, right? Not bad, not bad at all. And they grind it down too. Remember I told you they come and grind it? They've already had, you see the swirl marks in it? They come here with a machine and they grind it down to make sure it's nice and smooth. Later today or tomorrow they'll come and cut expansion joints in it. Well, there you go, I'm walking on your new foundation. What do you think about that, huh? So that'll tidy up all that video I did this morning while they were pouring it. Pretty cool. Looks like they did a really nice job on it too. There's a couple things I'll point out to you real quick while I'm here. Remember we talk about fall away from a house. Here's a great example of it. Anytime you have your part of your structural pour, your front porches, your back porches, I don't know if you can see here, you see how the front end is lower, or the front edge is lower than that, and that's for water runoff. Your garage will be like that, a little bit of like that, and your back porch will be like that as well. Okay, it just keeps water away from the house as it rains and stuff. All right, so here we go. Like I said, the framing package will probably be on site here next day or two. We'll start getting this thing framed up. Pretty cool. All right, gang, questions, comments, give me a shout. We're here. I want you to have a fantastic day.